Good evening. It is so exciting to see this many people out interested in hearing about how our 5 candidates who we're thankful put their names forward to increase and improve our community. We thank you all for being here. If you can't see, there are still some chairs closer to the front. My name is Shanna Bizzo. I welcome you here as a chamber president, and we have the privilege of hosting this event. And I also want to acknowledge that this event is being held on the traditional territory of the Second people and the home of McLeod Lake Indian Band, and we're grateful that we get this opportunity here today. So, our moderator this evening is on our board, Megan Murkowski, and we'll be putting the questions up there as well as a reference for people.
On that note, let's all give these candidates a round of applause for putting their names in. It's a wonderful turnout. I promise I am not that scary no matter what anybody says, so please come forward and fill the empty seats up here. If you feel so comfortable as, the rest of us, we're all going to cuddle now that it's snowing. Okay, make yourselves comfortable. There's water at the side. A few housekeeping notes. The washroom locations are out across from reception and across from Fry Daddy's. Exit doors are in our room. And also there's, of course, the front doors. And bottles of water are available. If you are thirsty, please help yourselves. If you need to stretch your legs, help yourselves. Let's get this show on the road. The format of tonight is that each candidate will have up to 3 minutes for opening introduction and final statements at the end. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to respond to questions. The first question has the candidates answering in alphabetical order, but the rest of the questions the candidates will be ordered in random selection. We have timing lights at the back of the room. Yellow means that you have 30 seconds left. Red light means that your time is over and you must stop speaking. I know that's hard, especially for people like me. All right, so we are going to start, I believe, with the intros. Is that correct, Tracy? The intros come first? All right, so we shall start with you, Cassandra, if you don't mind, just introducing yourself, and we'll go from there.
Hi, I'm Cassandra Carter, and I first of all want to say thank you all for showing up here to listen to us speak. This is incredible, not at all overwhelming. So I'm Cassandra Carter. I'm a child and youth care worker with Mackenzie Community Services. You might know me from some other places in the community, such as DJing at the Legion, or my work with the Accessibility and Inclusion Committee with the district, and various other things like Friends Helping Friends. I am a mom of 4. I have a couple of them here. And I'm a theater nerd, and I love Mackenzie. My family and I moved here in 2022 because we wanted to be part of a community. We wanted to know our neighbors, and we wanted to create more space in our lives. We wanted to slow down and connect. The people of Mackenzie welcomed us with open arms and gave us opportunities to serve and build relationships. The people of Mackenzie, despite the trials of the last 10 years or maybe even more, have shown that they will not give up on Mackenzie, and that's my kind of town. Over the last 2 years, I've listened to a lot of stories concerned about our schools, jobs, industry, mental health, hospitals, Finley Bay Road, accessibility and inclusion, senior care, child welfare, and the need for things for all people to do, all ages. I'm here today not to gain power, but to walk beside you as I bring our stories forward. I value community, I show up, I learn, I listen, and I'm relational. I will advocate for our needs to be met.
Hi, my name's Joy Davey. I know many of the people in the room. I've been here 17 years, and many of you might not know, but I was born here. And I didn't grow up here, but I grew up in Prince George. I came from setting up a medical school in Prince George and moved here. Everybody's like, why did you do that? It was for a boy. But I've loved every minute of it. I love small town living, and I love every part of it. I love the people the most, and I love that relationship that you get from your neighbors, from just going into every store and having that conversation of how's it going and what's up with this, and just that connection you have with every single person versus in a big city. So I really enjoy that. Currently, I work with the Northern Interior Rural Division of Family Practice. I get to work from home, and it's a pretty great job. But I work with the hospital and the doctors here in town. When I moved here, everything crashed, and so I had to kind of find myself a little bit, and in that time, I worked in every industry you can think of. So I worked in forestry, I worked in oil and gas, and I worked in mining. Like I said, trying to find my way until I found, I started managing at the hospital. I managed the clinic there for 4 years. And then I found my way to the division work, where I do the main job I have there is recruiting physicians. And so we work with nurse practitioners and physicians, and it's a membership group is what that is. And the big part of why I wanted to run for council is our difficulty with getting nurses here and the closures of the emergency room. It's a province-wide thing, but I think we can do more to attract nurses here. I think we can make work together with the hospital, with Northern Health, to make it more attractive. Other things, like I think people are not feeling as safe in their community here, and I'd like it to be a safe community again. That's what I love about Mackenzie too, is because I've always felt safe here, but I know that there are things happening that people don't feel safe, and I think working on solutions for that is a great thing. I'm somebody that loves to build that relationship. I love to listen, and I love to hear other people's ideas and work together to build a solution. Thanks.
Next up is Kevin Jobert. I pronounced that correctly.
Yep, you got it right. Hello, friends and family. Some of you guys I've known my whole life. I've been born and raised here in Mackenzie. I love this town. I'm willing to give some time to give back to my community that's given me so much. Like I say, born and raised, I've been in the forestry industry. I've done mining, even small-scale placer mining. I even got my own little chunk of gold at home that I treasure very much. And I'm here for you guys today. I want Mackenzie to be successful. We have several socio and economic issues that need to be addressed, from healthcare to substance abuse to mental health. And all these issues are very important to Mackenzie's and for Mackenzie's growth. I want to see the economic powerhouse that once was Mackenzie return with diverse industry and a diverse economy. There's so much potential to this town that I love so much, and I care greatly, very much for it. Like I say, I was born and raised here, and I love this town. I love the area. I love the forestry, the mountains, snowboarding, skiing. I love it all. And it's important for us to have these assets. They're not physical monetary assets, but they're tangible assets to us that bring us here. It incorporates everything that is Mackenzie, is the outdoors, and we need to preserve this stuff and keep it here and be able to share it as well. And that's about all I got to say on that one, so here you go.
Thank you, Kevin. And next up is Megan Devlin.
Hi, thank you all for coming. Is this on? Oh, yeah, it is. All right. As Megan said, my name is Megan Devlin. I am a teacher at MSS. I moved here 4 years ago with, wow, I'm actually nervous talking, sorry. I do it all day long in front of children. I was surprised to see that I'm nervous. My bad. Let's see, okay, so I moved here 4 years ago. I actually was born in BC. Grew up in Prince George, although I moved around Canada, and I lived in Manitoba, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario. And when the opportunity came for me to move somewhere for me, I chose to come back to this area. I remember when I drove into town with my brother, he was helping me move, and driving through the Pine Pass and coming into Mackenzie, I just thought, wow, like I felt so lucky to be coming into this place and just felt like I hit the jackpot. My brother was absolutely jealous that I got to move here, and so the very next year, he and his wife, who are also teachers, moved to Mackenzie as well. And then just last Christmas, we brought my mom up to Mackenzie. So the whole family is invested into this town. I know that a lot of people have some really great ideas about what they want to do with Mackenzie. I'm definitely advocating for all of that, but I'm not looking to make any great changes. I think that you have done an amazing job of hiring or choosing your council already, and I am looking to be a part of that. I see all the good work that is done. I've lived in other communities where they pretty much advocate for just the basics, and I see that your community goes above and beyond with the trails that have been built since I got here, with the programs that have been done to develop the faces of Mackenzie, with the new trash bins that don't get bears, and there are many more. And that's all done not because of tax money that comes in. Those are the people that are working behind the scenes to advocate and to write grants and to bring that into your town. I know the work that goes on to do that kind of thing as a teacher, and I'm looking forward for, if you choose, then to do that here for Mackenzie too. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. And next up is Peter Kylo.
Hi, I'm Pete. There, this is working, okay. I've been in town since '93. My family's been in this area since the 20s, been up and down. Around 91, 92, I moved into Finley Bay, and I figured if I'm gonna be working in the area, I should live here. So I kind of moved into town, and I've been here pretty much ever since. Couple of times I got looking around, I got disgusted with town, then I moved on, went across the rocks, went looking for work elsewhere. And you go to work elsewhere and you come back here and you think, you know, this is a really nice little town. And I turn around and come back. And I would still go to work, but the places I go, they pay me living out allowance, so it makes sense for me to stay here. Anyways, I've watched this town. I've been through this town when there was pushing 8,000 people, where there was lineups getting into the pubs, where you go into the store and it was busy. I've been in this town where you could drive from one end of the town and not see another person anywhere, not even a vehicle on the road. It's been up and down. I've been working in the bush off and on over the years. I'm watching the bugs come in. And 20 years ago, you look around and you say, we don't have much of a future in the mills, because technology has come and taken jobs away. Canfor built a super build in Houston back in 2002, 2003. They put out more wood than the old mill did with half the jobs. Conifex sold the mill to Hampton Lumber in Port St. James a couple of years ago. They tore the mill to the ground, built a new one. They produced more wood than what the original mill did, and they got 18 people in there. So forestry is it's important for the town, but to say we need a permanency and we need a sawmill to keep jobs, that brings a few people in. That's not the answer. But in the meantime, I've never seen this as being a town that welcomes loggers. You see people with trucks, with equipment. You'll see it parked in front of the hotel. You'll see it parked in front of the apartments. They'll get a place to stay. And they move because this town's never been welcoming to them. But these people have families. They have kids, they have children. That's what we need to keep this town going. And I say that we need to make it welcome for people to come here. So I've got 30 seconds left. Anyways, my reason for running for council is because I believe that we need to change our focus. We need to diversify, and we need to work on bringing more people into this town to keep it viable.
you all for your opening statements. And thank you all for submitting all the questions that we're going to ask tonight. We did make them more concise, and we did receive some of them more than once, and so this way we're able to ask more questions and get more answers from our candidates. If you don't hear me or you forget what I have said, this is for the candidates and for the audience, everything will be up on the display up there on the screen, so feel free to follow along, and I will tell you your order each time. Are you guys ready for this? All right. Keep it. First question. Yes. First question. And remember your lights. Same deal as before. Everyone ready to go? Why do you want to? Why do you want to be on town council? And what do you hope to achieve? If you don't get elected this time, do you plan to run at the next regular election? Starting with Cassandra.
Thank you. Since the first week that I've been here, I have been attending council meetings. I do that for fun because I wanted to get connected with the community. There are times where I am the only member in the community that is there, taking notes and learning. I learned a lot from being in those council meetings and from the things that I do in the community. Like I said in my opening statement, I've heard a lot of stories, and I think it's time to bring those stories forward. People have trusted me with those stories because I've listened, and it's my duty to try and bring that to the next level. Absolutely, if I don't get in this time, I would be happy to consider running again.
And next up is Joy.
Things I want to do with council is I just want to work with like-minded people who love this town, and I just want to make it better. I agree with so many of the things that were said. We definitely need diversification, some safety, and a bunch of other issues. I think it's the same in many other towns as well. If I get elected this time, I plan to run again. Or if I don't get elected this time, I plan to run next time. I think it goes back to my stories of how much I love this town. I have to tell one little story. I think it'll take 30 seconds. I love that when I lost my chicken for the next week, when I went to co-op, everybody asked about my chicken, and that's great.
Next up is Kevin.
Why do I want to be on? Gee.
Oh, sorry.
All right. All right. Why do I want to be on town council? I'm an empathetic soul. I believe in helping my neighbor out and being helpful. I love my town. I want to see this town do well and be well. If I don't get elected this time, I'm definitely going to be running again because I believe in this town. I was born and raised in this town. I don't want to leave this town. Unfortunately, though, if things don't turn around for our town economically, I might not have any other choice but to leave it. I don't want to do that. I love Mackenzie.
And Megan.
I'm running for town council because I felt like...
Is that on?
Well, it is on according to the button. Oh, this is getting close. All right, I'm running for town council because I've always felt like I wanted more than just to be a teacher. I have volunteered and done lots within other communities that I've worked at. I was considering going into administration, but I think that I've changed my mind and moved in another direction. I would like to get involved in council as a history teacher, teaching politics. I recently done student vote with all of the kids in town. I'm involved in politics, and I'd like to, did my time run out? No, oh, sorry.
You're good.
And yeah, I'd like to get involved. I think that if, I'm not sure that I will run again if I'm not elected this time, but I haven't decided that yet.
Well, I didn't get elected last time, and I'm here again. So I guess I will
Answers
try
that
one
one.
more time. My reason for running for council is to see this town develop, to change. And people that know me know that I can be very opinionated, and I can also challenge. I'm not afraid to challenge. And I think that someone on council needs to sit there sometimes and say, hey, wait a minute, let's stop, let's take a look at what's going on. And on top of that, go out and talk to the people and find out what they're doing or what their opinions are. Because if you're the council, you're supposed to be representing the people, and that's what I want to do, is make sure I'm for the people and for the future of town.
Just wanted to ask each of the candidates to stand when you speak, because we're so full, the people in the back cannot see you. Next question. Please summarize a councillor's job description. And by coincidence, it's Cassandra.
Excellent, thank you very much. You're gonna get tired of me going first. Yeah, a councillor is, as Peter so lovely summarized, it's a voice for the people. It's someone who is involved. It's someone who attends the meetings, takes what they learn at the meetings, and spreads it around, and sees how they can amplify the voice of the people. So every conference that they go to, every hand they shake, every person they meet, they're representing a voice and a person in this community. And every yes they give and every no they give impacts someone. So there's someone who attends the meetings, there's someone who is involved, there's someone who loves Mackenzie.
I just don't want to imagine.
Well, my sister's a councillor in Port McNeill on council. And after talking with her, I'm under no illusion that being on council, you can get out and make a bunch of changes without being involved in the community and listening. And the thing with the council is that, or being on council, is you're supposed to be out looking at what's going on, getting a feel of what's going on, and then talking with the administration and trying to get the administration directions in how you want the town to work, and get your fellow councillors on side with that.
Roger. Pass me the microphone, please. Thank you.
Just town councilor's job is you're a conduit to the citizens of the community. You're important to those citizens of the community because you express their wants, their voices, their concerns, their needs to the town council. Your votes make that happen. As a councilor, our votes make that happen for you guys. And that's the whole system right there. It's like tree branches. The citizens are the leaves on the tree, the branches are the councilors, and the trunk is the mayor. Together we make these things grow.
Well, the basic job of a councillor is to look after water, sewer, and garbage pickup. But a good councillor, as everybody said here, is also a voice for the people and someone who looks after their constituency. It's also someone who can recognize the needs of a community far in advance and works and plans and advocates those in, by visiting ministers and putting those programs in place in order to meet those needs. It's not just reacting to a situation or to a problem, but seeing in advance where the needs are going to be and working for those people.
I think the job of the councillor is building relationships within the community and critical thinking, so getting information, thinking critically, building a community plan with strategies based on what the community needs are, and moving forward from there, and getting the feedback from the community, and being a voice for the community.
moving on to our next question, which is also randomly selected for our candidates. What are your suggestions for reducing the crime in Mackenzie? Oh, nope, that was me. Nope. Now you get a preview of what's to come. Okay, so let's try this again. What do you see as the future for Mackenzie, and how do you plan to achieve that? Starting with Pete.
The key for the future of this town is diversification. You can say, I have said that we need to welcome loggers back and people in, make places available for them. But we only have 15, 16 years worth of merchantable timber in this district, from what I can see. So this town needs to diversify. It needs to actively reach out to companies, to businesses, saying, hey, you have a business, come here. You know, I said last time, there's people building little houses. There's a need for people to build tiny homes. Edison Motors down in Barrett, they're building hybrid logging trucks, off-highway trucks. Hybrid motors, they're looking for a place to go. I say we should get out and actively say, hey, people, you have a job, come here, we'll welcome you. And with that comes people.
Is that Joy? Yeah. Okay.
I think the future for Mackenzie, definitely we need diversification, and I think in that it's innovation. We have to look at new ways, because I think we've seen that forestry is definitely up and down, and so what are new ways? We look at iron coming here, and so that's a very innovative industry and reason for those people coming. They're probably under other industries like that may be interested, and I think it's just reaching out and thinking, what else could come here? And I think we're doing great things already. I think things like Rocking the Ridge Line and those kinds of festivals or things, bringing people in for tourism that way. Like maybe you could have snowmobile races or something like that, like bringing in competitions and people that will come back and spend money in Mackenzie.
Well, the future plan for Mackenzie is we need diversification. We got this wonderful gift of high-speed internet, which now allows us to have home-based jobs online, which is great for our community, because now we can have people that can work in their homes, from their homes, and it reduces carbon footprint. Think about it. If you don't have to drive to work, you're not burning gas, right? So that's cost savings for that individual right there. Diversification. Mackenzie's bread and butter for its almost entirety has been forestry. That's coming to a near end. So we need to diversify through mining, fabrication, and other means. How do I plan to achieve that? We got to reach out to corporations. We got to reach out to governments, provincially and federally, to achieve these goals. We got to make agreements with Aboriginal bands of our area to encourage this growth.
I definitely agree that Mackenzie needs to increase its population. I agree with Kevin with regard to the internet and advertising and making our community more attractive to young families who are coming in with children and who have the ability to work remotely. Young families and the kids will help to develop the schools and bring in more teachers. It'll also bring in other businesses and community. As far as diversification with regard to industry, I agree as well that we need to bring in more jobs in industry. I think that partnering with McLeod Lake and looking to Indigenous communities to develop some of those resources would be a great idea. And I definitely advocate for that as well.
I'll make that 5 for 5 for diversification of industry. One of the ways that I see that we can achieve that is by advocating for a second economic developer to come in. If we had a second economic developer, we have an amazing one right now, and she does incredible work with tourism. If we were able to have one that focused solely on seeking out new industry, bringing it in, and making it more attractive while we had this amazing tourist being built up. I mean, we would be unstoppable, I think. As well as doing the things that you guys are already doing so well. You're so quick to accept new people that come in and make it warm and give us things to do and dance with us at the Legion and do all those kinds of things. So keep doing what you're doing, but yes, we can do better.
Now the question that I gave you the preview for. What are your suggestions for reducing the crime in Mackenzie, including the increase in theft in the industrial area and violent crimes in our residential areas? And we'll start with Joy this time.
I don't think this is a solution that one person can come up with. I think it's working with law enforcement, I think it's working with government and local people, and I think it takes the community to come together and work on this solution. It's definitely not coming from one person, and we need to work together to make this happen.
Cassandra.
Yeah, this is a bit of a passion project of mine. I believe that the greatest thing to do as a preventative medicine is play in community. If we have people who have things to do, if we have people who feel connected, people who are not isolated, that we will see less of the anonymous faces in the community. We need to support the good work already being done by the RCMP. We need to collaborate with our MLA. We need to hold him accountable to his election promises and really make sure that we are working together as a community, because if we can look everyone in the face and know who people are, we will see less of this.
Well, it comes down to the justice system and also availability of police officers. There's a 2-hour gap in this town between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. where there is no RCMP on duty. A majority of these thefts, crimes, and unfortunately murders as of late have occurred within those 2 hours. We need RCMP coverage 24 hours a day in this community. Obviously, there's a need for it. That's as simple as it goes. But the thing is, where do those wages come from? The District of Mackenzie pays the wages of the RCMP. So that means, do we increase the funding on that? Does that mean we also increase property taxes or other revenue streams, or decrease funding from other areas to cover that? That's a decision that depends on you guys today to let the town councillors know what you would like to see done.
Really, the only way the person's going to be able to, people are able to combat crime is community involvement. Getting out, seeing who's there, helping people out, doing things, keeping the kids active, especially with the youngsters. Get them active, get them out doing things so they don't get in trouble in the first place. That's, from the council, that's really all I can see, other than start to put up more cameras to keep track of who goes where, and hire more police officers, which is probably out of the budget.
Oh, cool. Got acoustic.
Yeah, do you want to use this one?
Oh, that's
There you
kind
got
of
it.
you, but I think I got it. I've definitely noticed that crime has become a problem in Mackenzie of late. When I asked my principal about whether or not the murders that were taking place and the crime that was happening in Mackenzie, and he's lived here all of his life, he said that it's not normal for Mackenzie. There's definitely been an increase in the last few years, and that up until recently that this was a very safe and welcoming community. I think that poverty and desperation plays a huge role when it comes to crime, and that anything that we can do to decrease that poverty, that hopelessness, that desperation is going to have an impact. And that comes down to increased community involvement and looking after each other, and increased supervision or police, if that's within the budget. Because nobody wants taxes to go up.
What will you do to have the properties along the 4-lane through town look better? Starting with Cassandra.
I know that council has been working very hard with the bylaw officer to make sure that those properties are being taken care of. For a long time, we did not have somebody to follow through and follow up on those things, but I know that that is being done now. So I would continue to support those efforts, and yeah, that's that.
I think there are grants in place to help with these things, and I think we just make them better known to people, and maybe even helping people with the paperwork. That's often a struggle with some people, is just getting through the paperwork. Sometimes it's a lot of paperwork to go through, but I know that we can't force anybody to make it look better. But we can help with pointing out grants and looking at the existing grants out there to help with that improvement.
People that know me know that it's hard to force someone to do something they don't want to do. But you can make it a contest. You can say, here's a reward. If you have the nicest, we can give you a perk. We can give you a benefit. We can give you a break in taxes for 6 months or a year. You can give an incentive that makes them want to pick up and make a difference.
Well, I honestly believe it's more than just a coat of paint and adding some flowers. We do have the facade improvement grant, and that is utilized, but it also needs to be pushed on these businesses. Unfortunately, Mackenzie's an aging town. There's not much for revenue, so these infrastructure improvements cost money. That's their profit margin. So it's hard to incentivize something like that for somebody who was taking money out of their pocket. So we got to find a creative way, either through more grants, to make this happen. I want to see Mackenzie look beautiful and attractive to people coming here for tourism, because these are awesome businesses that sell good stuff.
Well, I agree with everything that's been said. I seem to get last or second to last. I don't know how that happened. And so, but working with the bylaw officer to ensure that things are being looked after. I know about the incentive program. It is up to $5,000, and it matches what you're willing to put in. People are willing to put in their money to do it when they have the money to put in. So working with small businesses to encourage that we are working with small businesses, that we are using our small businesses, that we are keeping our money here in Mackenzie, and so that it goes back into the community.
You asked if you could be first, William. What do you feel is the single most pressing issue for our community, and how do you plan on addressing it or making improvements?
I would say that the most pressing issue for our community is bringing business and industry and work and jobs into our community. And I would say that community builds community. And so looking to bring in people, like I said, with taxpayers and small families, and advocating for those people who can work anywhere, remote places. I ran into a lovely couple from Vancouver out at the community garden, and they said that they were living in downtown Vancouver and they hated it. It was hot, it was sweaty, they were in a box, and they had no place to have space. Mackenzie has the space, and this place is beautiful. I feel like it is an unknown gem in northern British Columbia, and we could do well to advertise it.
Economy. That's our main issue. Without an economy, we don't have tax revenue. There was just recently something put out saying that we lost a major industry in town, which is nothing new. But that major industry contributed almost $500,000 to local tax revenue. So who's going to be paying that $500,000 shortfall? Your property taxes will be. We need more industry here. We need more business here. Without that, we're paying for it, and we're going to continue to pay for it. So we need to diversify. We need to bring business here, and we need to bring people here to make that happen.
I actually don't think there's one single issue, because I think they're all correlated. I think you need people to have the jobs. I think you need people to feel safe. I think you need people to have access to health care. I think all of those things are really important. And I think the way I plan on addressing it is working with council, working with the community, and developing those relationships and working with other organizations such as Northern Health, other governments, the police, to make it better, to build solutions for that.
I've seen met people that have come to town that have moved here because it was cheap housing, they found a house, they said it's a great place to be. And 6-7 months later, I've seen the same houses back in the market, and I talked to them, and they said they're leaving because they can't afford to live here without a job, without a revenue stream. They have no way of maintaining their residence here, so they packed up and moved on. So the most pressing issue is employment. It's keeping people around. Conifex, the sawmill that we have that is running, the only reason it's running right now is because it needs the fiber for the cogen plant. If it didn't have the cogen plant, it would be shut down. So the pressing issue is diversification and keeping the employment here.
Cassandra?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head that absolutely we need to be worried about jobs and our economy. I think the other thing that we need to be talking about is what does it look like for us to retire here? What does it look like for long-term care homes? What does it look like for our hospitals? Because you can live your whole life here, but if you can't retire here, you're not going to stay here.
Community engagement is vital for understanding and addressing the unique needs of our municipality. Active involvement with local organizations can deepen insight into the challenges and strengths of our community. Could you share examples of your recent volunteer work or community involvement over the past year or two, particularly with local organizations? How do these experiences inform your approach to serving in municipal government? Pete.
Gotta be honest, I haven't done a whole lot of community involvement other than working and looking after my place, with exception of challenging the forestry on a bridge project and being haywire enough to stand up to the ministry and say that if you say the bridge is delaminating, falling apart, calling the guy a liar and hiring a bridge an engineer to inspect it and find that the engineer's report says that the ministry is lying about the state of the bridge. And for other involvement, I'm sorry, I'm kind of behind on that. My apologies.
Megan.
Community engagement is something that I've always done in any community that I worked in, mostly through the school and different programs that you run and ways that you get the kids involved. My family's been involved in bringing Grandparents' Day, which some of you may have attended if you were part of the school. You may recognize the name Devlin from that. And I've volunteered, I've coached, I've run clubs, I've done all of that. My next goal with community involvement is to become a town councillor. So we'll see if that happens.
Please.
Well, I engage with my community quite a bit. I see a lot of people here that I often stop and speak to and catch up, and it's nice. For volunteer work, I admit I haven't done too much in Mackenzie. There's so many charitable people here that get that covered. But each summer for the last 3 years now, I've been going down helping my friend out in Quesnel, who does an annual goal panning competition down there. And it's primarily based on teaching kids how to goal pan and how for others to get active in small-scale placer mining. And I think that's something that's important and vital for Mackenzie, because I did that once here. I had a little panning competition about 5 years ago, and it's something that Mackenzie needs. It's a part of that economic diversification. We need forestry, we need mining, we need so many different things to make this town money.
I really enjoy volunteering. When I lived in Prince George, I volunteered quite a bit there. And moving here, I have volunteered with the Chamber of Commerce. I've been a volunteer firefighter. I've volunteered with Girl Guides. I was on Rotary for quite a few years. And so when we had the Festival of Trees, I loved doing that. I wish that would come back. And how do these experiences, I think it just helps you build relationships in the community, and I think it just gets you out talking to people and figuring out what they want to see in the community and what their goals are when they're here in their community, and just thinking about their kids and their safety and all of those things, and getting to know what matters to them, and I think that's important.
Volunteerism isn't just something that I think is good. I think it's integral. When we're working in a community such as ours, social capital, being invested in each other, giving back to each other is really important. So the first way that I connected with people in this community was like, hey, where do I go volunteer? So I started with the 92 Youth Club. I just stepped onto the Youth Advisory Committee with the Foundry. I volunteer at the Legion. I'm on the Accessibility and Inclusion Committee with the district. And some other things. Basically, if you call me up and say, hey, we need your help, if I can make it work, I do.
What is your day job, and will it interfere with you serving on council? What skills and experience do you bring to council, Cassandra?
My day job is that I am a child and youth worker over at Mackenzie Community Services. Previous to that, I was the community navigator for seniors, and that gave me such a taste of this town. It allowed me an opportunity to sit on boards, and allowed me an opportunity to talk to you and to build programming, and yeah, just to meet people and strive. Oh my goodness, I'm blanking here, I apologize. But yeah, it's been really exciting to be part of MCS. I'm gonna leave it there because I'm floundering, so I apologize.
My day job is a teacher. I've taught in Ontario, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and now in British Columbia. I have lots of different experience working in different school districts and seeing different ways that things are run, and when they're run well, and when they're not run so well. I have lots of experience dealing with and managing people and communicating and being organized and staying on top of lots and lots of paperwork. So I plan to build that. As far as working and will it interfere, Kyle Tapper, who's also a town councillor, is also a teacher at the high school with me. He seems to make it work.
Well, my day job, I am unemployed right now. But I am educating myself, I'm improving myself. I'm taking a human resources course here, which obviously when it comes to being a counselor, having communication skills in that capacity is vital. Skills and experience, I've been in this town for a long time. I know the residents, I know the citizens, I know the counselors. I've attended several council meetings before. I've even had to take the bylaw to court over a noisy chicken before. So I have a lot of experience in this community and with the people and the legal system, unfortunately, on regards to bylaw.
My missus got COVID a couple of years ago and she's still suffering. So I changed my job. I went working for Does Show doing the Orhall, week on, week off. And one of the things with the job that I have is that I could take time off as needed to fulfill other needs, looking after her or other priorities. So my job has no effect on my positions if I do get on council. Experience, I grew up in the bush, I grew up in the wilds, and we had a whole lot of nothing. If you needed something, if something was broke, you had to find a way to make it work, to make things happen. So you had to be innovative and figure out, take a look at what's going on and say, hey, just because the box says, here's the box, we can't check it. You can find a way around that box and stop and think about it. And the beauty of being a truck driver is that I got 12 hours a day to sit there and think.
My day job is, like I said before, it's with the Northern Interior Rural Division of Family Practice. I know that's a mouthful. And what I do mainly is, I said before, is I do physician and nurse practitioner recruitment and retention. And my skills and experience, so I have a business degree and I have a human resources designation. I've worked with McLeod Lake Indian Band, and like I said, I've worked with many different industries. I've worked with mining, logging, oil and gas, and I've worked in healthcare for probably 20 years of that, at least, in administration. And I came from setting up a medical school in Prince George, and you have to be pretty innovative to do that because it was the first time it was being set up. And yeah, I'm trying to think of any other skills and experience I have. One of my skills with all of these is, again, building relationships with people and different groups. And I think that's really important when it comes to council.
We're just recording this for tomorrow as well, so we're just having a couple moments here. Ask Liam for help. He's 80%. I'm just going to continue on. We'll get as much of this on video as we can for those who couldn't make it tonight. Serving as town councillor can be particularly challenging during difficult economic times. With job losses and limited resources, frustrations in the community often run high, and council members may find themselves facing criticism. How would you approach and handle negative feedback or criticism from community members, including the upcoming budget town hall meeting. Kevin.
Well, when you're on unemployment and you're a struggling homeowner, you get really crafty with budgeting. And that's the type of person you probably want spending your hard-earned tax dollars. I can't deny that. And criticism, I'm pretty good when it comes to constructive criticism. I'm about self-improvement. When criticism comes at you, that's a cue for you to find something about yourself that's a negative attribute and improve upon it. So don't fixate on it being negative. Think about it as a potential growth experience.
Yeah, I think the major thing is holding space. When people come to you with a criticism or talk about the frustrations that they are feeling from not having jobs, having lack of income, those are real concerns. And at the end of the day, it's not necessarily about me, but it is about their frustrations and holding that space. Now, it also doesn't mean I forget what they say, and I take it to the next level. I have those conversations with my fellow councillors, with the mayor, and look for opportunities to connect them, to collaborate, and to find solutions for those concerns.
I have big shoulders, so I can take a lot. Criticism doesn't bother me. The thing is that if you are open and engaging with community, you'll get the feedback. If you have to make a decision that's not popular, you should be able to back that, to have rationale behind why they made the decision, and explain what the rationale is. And before you even make the decision, you should be involved with the community and get the feedback before the decisions are made. Because you are here to represent, the councillors are here to represent the people, not yourself, for your self-interest.
I don't see criticism as a negative thing. Criticism is just somebody giving you feedback on what's going on, and it doesn't have to be negative. So as far as taking it goes, if you know why you made the decision and you're doing it to the best of your ability in order to help as many people as you possibly can, then you can stand behind that decision. And sometimes it's just about being there to listen, to hold space, and to explain what went on behind it so that you can be there. And if that means then coming back with another solution because you're not meeting the needs of the people, that's okay, and we can do that too.
I think feedback and criticism is the most important thing, and I think listening to the people and bringing it back to council is the most important. I don't think there's any need to fear or avoid it. I think that's the most important thing, is just to listen to people and make sure that you are listening and not just giving them solutions at first, but truly listening to what they're saying.
A diversity of perspectives is valued on council. We have councillors who are men, women, younger, older, and from a variety of professions. What perspective do you bring that is not already represented, Pete?
I guess the biggest one is being able to take a look and find a different solution that's out of the box. Not following the rules and saying, okay, you can find the rules or find a way you can bend the rules or manipulate it, or find a solution that works. And the other thing is coming from my background, I have gone through times where there's no work. I've gone through times where things were incredibly skinny, and I had to suffer and go through and find a way to make things work. So I have the ability to adapt and change and come to a solution that keeps everything going smoothly at the end.
Well, you already have a teacher on council, so you don't need me for that. But I wasn't always a teacher. It's not actually something that I came to very early on in life. I worked many different jobs and waitressed and worked in many different industries across Canada before coming here. So I have experience through that. When I eventually did decide to become a teacher, I did so because I wanted to make a difference, and I do with council as well. But when I did, I was going to school 8:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon, and then waitressing from 5 o'clock at night, sometimes till as late as 3 o'clock in the morning. Knowing how hard I worked for my education is something I think that I bring to the table with hard work and looking forward to, or looking for the, I should have just stopped.
Well, I've had a good job. I used to make, almost $150,000 a year take home. Now it's less than a third. I was younger then, I'm older now. I've done all sorts of things. I can do all sorts of things. But another thing that I also bring to the table is heritage. Born and raised in Mackenzie. My mom and dad were here for a long time. I got friends, I got family here, and I'm Métis, and so it's a beautiful blend of Aboriginal and French blood. And it's historical blood, and it's something I'm very proud of, and I like to use this as a branch to reach different groups and to network, to socialize, and to bring good things to our town.
I think a unique perspective that I will bring to council is accessibility and inclusion. Recently, the district brought in a consultant to do the age-friendly accessibility plan. That document is a beautiful roadmap to how we can make Mackenzie accessible from 8 months to 88 years. If it's accessible for one, it's accessible for all. So I would bring that perspective in that all future projects would be done with the accessibility and inclusion in mind. Further to that, I think that I have a gift for seeing what people are good at. And I can highlight that, validate that, and connect them to the other people. So, I might not know everything about the Finley Bay Road, but I know this gentleman right here absolutely does. And you better believe he's gonna be called by me to get, to give the advice.
Well, I think the one perspective that I hold is I am Indigenous. Many of you may not know that, but I come from the High Bar Band in Clinton and Lillooet, and so I do bring that perspective. Other than the ones already represented, I'll be there. I'm 50 this year, so I guess I represent old. But yeah, those are the only perspectives I can think of.
In council meetings, there will be times when decisions don't align with your perspective. How would you handle these situations where the outcome differs from your views? And how would you continue to work constructively with your fellow council members? Joy.
I think this is always going to happen. I think you just have to not take it personally. I think you have to value and respect your other council members, that that's the decision that went forward. I think that from working in teams and groups, that's just something that you come to know, and that you value other people's opinions, and you just give that respect.
Well, being on council isn't about me, it's about the community. And if the other people can put up an argument as to why it's best for the community, I am more than willing to see the light go along. And if the people that I know are against it, I still feel I have the right to voice their concerns and say we need to address these and try and find a way to alleviate them or work with them if we can.
Yeah, being on council is not about my ego or what I want or anything like that. It's about representing the people, and if the majority of council is in favor of a decision, whether I personally agree with it or not, that's just fine.
It's a matter of debate. If your perspective is different from theirs, you got to articulate your argument to the point where these people see the light you're trying to shine. Sometimes their light is a little brighter, makes a little bit more sense, and is the voice of the majority. And it's the voice of the majority that rules, because those are the ones who get the most benefit from it, which is the whole premise of government. So you gotta take it with a lump of pride, swallow it down, and move on.
I feel like this question is a little misleading because while you might have different perspectives at the council meeting, we often get to do homework beforehand. You get to read the minutes, you get to read what's going to be on the agenda, and that's our opportunity to ask the questions, to spark the conversations with our experts, to reach out and collaborate and find out what people think about this issue, what has been said about this issue before. So when we get to council meetings, we can state that whether we agree or don't agree, and we can have that recorded. But before that, we should be talking to the community and doing our homework.
How many council meetings have you attended, and what makes you prepared for the job? Cassandra.
I've been attending council meetings off and on for the last 2 years. I've been attending a council meeting at least once a month for the last years consistently.
Where's the second part of that say?
I have not attended any council meetings. I've read minutes, but I've not attended any.
Pete.
I can't remember if it's 3 or 4. Each time was to protest decisions that council had made and stand up and challenge them. And being prepared, learn. There's books, there's rules, and my sister's on council, so I can, on council in a different town, ask questions and pay attention.
Now, I've been to several council meetings. I couldn't even tell you how many, to be honest, from back in 2016 when the Wilson Lake level was an issue of 2147 feet to obviously noise bylaw. And recently, the water situation out in Gannahas subdivision with the treatment facility out there. So I'd say at least probably a dozen, if not more. I'm very familiar with the flow and ebbs of a council meeting as I've attended them before. And what they do is pretty darn important to this community, so it'd be nice to be a part of that.
While I've read the minutes from council meetings, I haven't attended any either.
Do you shop locally, and how will you encourage the district to continue to support local businesses? Megan.
I do shop locally, and whenever possible, although like everyone else, I'm sure that we also have to make those Costco runs, even in the dead of winter. One of the ways that I was thinking about encouraging local businesses is to, with regard to BC Hydro and Fortis, there's a lot of programs that are currently available. And I was thinking it would be a good idea to help facilitate the filling out of those forms to get the rebates and help to bring in those sorry, otherwise distract me. To bring that and help develop local businesses and get people the money and the funding necessary to do that. Other than that, I'm open to ideas.
Yes, I definitely support local businesses. I think I go to every craft fair as well and make sure I buy lots of Christmas gifts there. But my company that I work for as well, I also make sure that I support local businesses with that. In fact, Becky's soap that she makes is the most popular item at every conference I take to for my company. So.
Well, Donna's Garden has us, so we don't have to go to the grocery store till about May. So it kind of takes that out of the window, but out in the industrial site, the place is there. We shop there because, to be honest, it's better than the prices of Prince George. So we do shop local, get my fuel local. When it comes to clothes, I'm good for once a year, a couple of G's a year, and to support local business. When contracts come up for tender, when the district has jobs, locals should be given first priority when it comes to bidding on it. And they should know, be fully aware well before, so they have time to be prepared. And likewise, if they're looking to buy new equipment, they should be going to places like the Western Star or Kenworth looking for trucks to support businesses close to Prince George, because they're the same as us. We need to support them as well.
I too do the Costco shops, but I do look for opportunities to support locally. I get my hair done in town. I advocated for, when there was a provincial election, for the signs to be made for our community within this community. And so Wildwoods was able to benefit from some of those election signs. I do look for those opportunities. But again, with the struggles that we have with our produce and coming into co-op, it's not always viable for us to shop at co-op. And so that would be something that we would advocate for, work in collaboration with our local communities. I would love to see the community garden expand and have Omnica growers and have fresh produce here, and supporting the local farmers with the sheep just outside of town, which I just found out about, so I'm super excited about that. And yeah, friends with eggs and all that kind of stuff. So thank you very much, guys.
Thanks for the shout out on the eggs. Yeah, grow local. One of the things I tried to do a couple weeks ago was I emailed Mr. Trapper there about seeing if we can get the windows taken out of the Ernie Bodine Center to use for a greenhouse for the community garden. Now, that would also require a little bit of grant funding for, and you know, architecture drawings and stuff like that. Wouldn't be cheap, but at least we could reuse these assets to improve our community and grow more diverse foods here that we don't normally get, like watermelons and stuff like that. Yeah, I shop locally. I don't have a big pile of money to go to Prince George every week. And we need better food quality here in Mackenzie. That's what it boils down to.
What will you do to ensure that everyone has all the information they need to make fully informed choices around accessing mental health services in Mackenzie? Cassandra.
I think one of the ways that we can do this is by being present. Again, I work for Mackenzie Community Services, and they're an incredible resource for the community. The way that we get kids in particular, because I work with kids, the way that they know about us is because we're around. We're in the schools, we're attending the events, we're talking to them about mental health skills through theater. I'm at Morphe School right now teaching theater for wellness. So the big piece is being around and letting them know that those services exist. As far as the mental health services with the hospital, it's about referrals. It's about keeping the conversation open. And it's about being honest when you yourself struggle with these things. Having conversations of, I see you're going through this, I too have been through this. Let me tell you what's worked for me and let's find some help together.
It goes back to community involvement, talking with people, getting out, listening to what they have to say, and knowing what's available so you can pass them on to the appropriate resources.
I think that working in the school has made me aware of the mental health services that are available and the lack thereof that we have in Mackenzie. Definitely advocating for more mental health services and access would be a priority for me if I were elected onto council. You do good work, I know you do, but
No, I agree.
yeah.
I feel kind of bad about this because I'm actually working on a committee where we're working on this. So we're actually hiring somebody to bring together all the resources that will go onto a website where people can access. And I've done this in other communities that I serve, so Burns Lake is one of them, where we created a list and then created a QR code and put it on swag and gave it out to youth as well, so it's easily accessible. And so this is something that I'm already working on with a committee.
I got this one. Thank you.
It's about communication. It's asking, how are you? But more importantly, no, really, how are you? And it's that in community engagement. That's one of the core values of Mackenzie, is how close we are and how well we know each other. Because that's when you pick up on somebody when they're not doing well, when they're off just that little bit and you can recognize it. That's one of the true values I love about this town. In a bigger center, you don't have that connectivity with everybody else. Here we do. And here we can actually discuss it, talk about it, and refer people to the places that work and people that work, you know? And everybody here matters. I care so much about everybody within this town, and I want to see this town do well.
Please provide some concrete examples that demonstrate how you value public libraries and literacy. Joy.
I think our library is fabulous. In fact, I take medical students and I take them on a tour throughout the town when they come, and I always mention our library because I think of how fabulous it is. The fact that it's so diverse, that it has a seed library, you can take out skis or a toboggan or a paddleboard, any of those things, and they have a book club. I think it's really important. I think it's kind of at the heart of any kind of small community.
Pete.
Libraries and knowledge are an important part of any community and any person. My mom, she's busy in the library. She's going through, checking out books, taking what she wants. I'm a little bit of a different sort. I have a passion for history and First Nations and fur trade. And my missus complains because I've run out of book space or bookcases. My house is wall-to-wall bookcases. Now they're piling up on the floor. So literacy and history to me is extremely important. And the libraries, to have that resources available to other people, they need that. They need to be able to find the information. Google's fine, but sometimes it's good to sit there in front of a book and get there, you go through it and read it, and it holds the value better.
Cassandra.
First of all, I've got to say, well done with this little town and this library. The rec center, the library, it blew me away when we pulled into Mackenzie. The staff there is incredibly friendly, and made us feel very warm and welcome. I think, what was it, our first week? We all went in and got our library cards and found out about what was going on. I joined a book club. I've utilized it a lot with clients that I work with, the D&D club my kids, or one of my kids attends, all of it. So it's incredibly important just as far as community building, but it's also important as a warming center. It's also important for access to internet and technology, which not everyone would have if not for the library. So yes, we appreciate you and value you.
Now, as a father of young kids who are learning to read and watching them grasp these words and sponge things up, it opens up a world to them because they have these interests, these ideas, these passions, and through reading, they can now dive into these things and become more knowledgeable. It's as a parent, it's really wonderful. And then being able to take these kids to our library here and watching them just go bonkers because their brain cells are just going crazy. They're in maximum overload. It's wonderful. As a parent, we don't understand or appreciate the value of that area of this building over there. It's a true resource that Mackenzie is so intrinsically happy to have. From seeds to computers, being able to photocopy stuff when you don't have a place in town to do it, be able to fax stuff out, emails, all this stuff is very important.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with Cassandra. When I first moved here and saw the rec center and the public library, I was absolutely blown away. And I continue to be blown away by the things that I find out that the public library is able to offer. And not just from books and internet and library access, which is so important for equality, but right down to blueberry pickers. Did you know those are in there? Yeah. So very cool. As far as literacy goes, as a teacher, I've worked with kids who, with response to intervention and closing gaps and teaching them how to come back when they were missed. And you're going back and you're trying to close those gaps and teach them how to read when they hit grade 4 and grade 5. Personally, I can sympathize with that. I couldn't read in English when I was in grade 4, and I had to be separated from the class and go into those specialized classes because I could only read and write in French. And so I know how important it is to have those services and those availability and the people who are willing to sit down and work with you one-on-one to close those gaps when it comes to literacy. And libraries make that possible.
Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for submitting questions. We just have a few more left. And I think we want to power through the couple that we do have left since we want to represent all of you. So give your arms and your legs a little bit of a shake because here we go. We need another Notary Public in Mackenzie. We had a notary here for years. It was convenient and the notary got plenty of business from the residents of Mackenzie. How will you encourage another Notary Public to conduct business in Mackenzie? Joy.
We can only do that by contacting notaries and seeing if they're probably going to a notary conference or something like that, and seeing if there's an appetite for a notary to move here, and advertising Mackenzie as an attractive place to come for a notary would be the only way I can see that happening.
Cassandra.
I don't have any big exciting plan either. Yeah, it's definitely just about making Mackenzie seem attractive and collaborating with people who would use those programs on a regular basis. So talking to our realtors and talking to our seniors who are doing wills and seeing what we could drum up, whether it be that somebody comes in once a week to start and just does business once a week, and seeing if we can expand that and get them to fall in love with Mackenzie and move here for real.
Kim is awesome. Same with her husband, Dean. Known them for years and years. And like Cassandra said, we need to be able to provide something here for the citizens of this community, even if it's a week on, week off, perhaps even facilitate them with a location for them to conduct their business out of, so that way they are encouraged to come here full time. And I think that that would be a good idea. It might be a little bit of an expense to facilitate their needs, but I think the good outweighs the bad.
A lot of the work a notary does can be done by a commissioner. There's one at the courthouse, and I don't know the hours they have. But in towns like Tumbler Ridge, Hudson's Hope, Dawson Creek, the members, people working in the district office also have their papers to be commissioner and sign the paperwork. So encourage people in the office to go through that so they can find it. And then find an office space that's available and invite notaries into town for the 2 or 3 days a week that we need them. So have the commissioner to represent town for the day-to-day and invite people in. And really, if you want to bring someone to town, it goes back to jobs. If you bring in one person with a job, you're only bringing in one. If you bring in, if you have jobs for 2 people, you have more chance of bringing people in, so you need to bring back employment to the town to make it a town people can live in.
Yeah, I definitely agree with this question. I know that I closed on my house about a month earlier than I wanted to while trying to do report cards and renovate a house by myself and a few good friends who were there to help me out. And so I definitely see the need for a Notary Public. I've actually thought about taking on the job myself and going to get my credentials in order to do it, because I recognize the need within our community. As far as what would I do to bring somebody in, I think that we could work with maybe Chetwynd or other areas. I know that for a while the veterinarians were coming in for that and servicing our community temporarily. Maybe looking into that would be a good idea, or advertising on behalf so that we get it, or encouraging one of our local people who's maybe looking for a job to fill that very needed role.
One final question before our closing remarks. What is your plan to address backcountry and Forest Service road access? Kevin.
Well, I've written several emails to almost everybody, our MP Bob Zimmer, our new MLA Cal Giddens, and also the Regional District of Fraser Fort George, which heritage conservation falls underneath their mandate. Now, that road that we're in question here, it's been not there for that long, but people have been in that region for over 200 years. The email that I wrote Kyle Giddens was exquisite in detail with times, dates, and people who were there in those times. And hopefully that gets passed along, as that email was forwarded to several others, and it gets some traction. I would actually like to share some of that information with you, Peter, because you might find it quite interesting. And, or even any of you guys, if you're curious about this little tidbit of local history, I would love to share it with you.
Yes, in this area, this is where I would use my skill and be like, hey, I know a guy who's really smart in this, and I would have a conversation with him about it. I know that Mackenzie has worked hard, the people have worked hard to advocate for this road to stay open and to be cared for. I recognize that there are limitations in that. Our brand new MLA made some campaign promises that he was going to continue advocating for this road, and I would work to collaborate and hold him accountable to those promises. I know that our district is also having communications with other communities such as McBride to see how we can band together and continue to advocate for access to this road that's so needed for hunting and for the vacationing and the tourism and stuff that's part of it. It's a big part of Mackenzie, and so I'm willing to learn about it and fall in love with it as well. So.
Well, Well, as my mud-covered Jeep will attest, I'm a big fan of the many Forest Service roads that we have and all the exploring that we get to do in this community. I've recently, within the last year, discovered Finley Bay, and it is absolutely incredible up there. It's not something that I want to lose access to as well. I understand the limitations of our town council, and unfortunately that road falls outside of what town council is able to do. So while we can continue to advocate, hold our MLAs accountable, and work towards maintaining it, because it's something that I want as well, it's not something that is within the council's direct control.
I'm probably gonna go over the time limit here.
Not.
First off, I've challenged the ministry when they said the bridge is falling apart, delaminating. I said, I don't believe you, I think you're full of it. Hired an engineer, and the engineer's report says they're lying and they're full of it. I've written letters to the ministry, and the rules are the ministry's supposed to give a response within, I think it's 3 weeks. They just choose not to do it. So I've gone to the ombudsman, provincial ombudsman, filed a complaint. The ombudsman said the complaint came, they asked, the ministry said, we have no plans to pull the bridge at this moment. But people in the district office who are muzzled under a non-confidence, non-disclosure agreement say that they actually are still intending on pulling the bridges. So now I'm in touch with the Taxpayers Federation, and we're working on getting the lawsuit together to take the district and the BC government to court to keep the road open.
Thank you, Pete. And now is our time to offer any closing remarks that you want the audience to know about yourself.
I don't think I talked about it. Yeah, Joy didn't talk about it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, when it comes to the back road, yeah, I think a lot of those campsites were put in place because of the Williston as well, and so it would be a real shame to lose those, because I think those were a promise from building the Williston. And I know many Mackenzie people, including myself, enjoy camping and the recreation on those back roads, so I think it takes working, and thanks to all the hard things that Pete has done already, but I think it takes working with the Ministry of Forests and our provincial government and trying to come to a resolution about that.
You all got to speak, right? Okay, now it's time for our closing remarks that you want the audience to know about you. Starting with Pete.
Well, as I said before, I'm here for the long term. I'm here for the future of the town. And I'm here to try and bring in more people, more employment, and actively go out and seek companies to come into town to keep it going for the long term. As why you should vote for me. First off, I'm not afraid to challenge and say, what the heck, this is wrong, or maybe we need more information, you need to answer some questions. I'm not afraid to ask questions that other people just sit there and go, well, okay, we'll agree because other people say. And finally, I've lived through tough times. I've lived through it all. I've been through the highs, the lows, and I've always found a way to get through, to figure out an angle, figure out some way to get an end result, or find the job. When the town died, believe it or not, this town, all the sawmills died. Those were some of the best years I ever had. I was busy, but I managed to find a little hole, a little niche where I could keep myself busy, and it got me through. I struggled for the first little bit until I figured out how. So I'm able to find a way that can get a result, or find a solution to a problem instead of just throwing my hands in the air and go, geez, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, when I moved here 4 years ago, I felt like I hit the jackpot. I think that Mackenzie is an incredibly special place, and that I was very, very lucky to find it. My family felt the same way, and they moved here shortly after. Since I moved to Mackenzie, I've been making traditions in this place. I participate in the Morphe Scramble with my good friend Patty Watson, who was the first friend that I made when I moved here. I remember when I went down to the beach and the storm was about to roll in, and I thought I could get one quick swim in until I ran into Patty. And then standing in a bathing suit, she gave me the town's history. I'll never forget that day. From Morphe Scramble to jumping into Morphe Lake, Thanksgiving Monday morning, I've loved this place, loved making traditions here, looking to stay here for the rest of my life, and I want to be a part of this community. I may not have been here for 30 plus years, but I plan on being here 30 years from now.
Well, lifelong resident. Yeah, I like the other microphone better. Yeah, it's a little louder. I've been here forever. Anybody who's been here for 40 years plus, remember the boom time, the late 70s, early 80s, all the way through the 90s. This town was the economic powerhouse. There was always so much going on here. And in the last decade and a half, it's dwindled down, and it's in sad shape compared to what it used to be. You guys came here, and you love it here, and God bless you, thank you. But this town used to be so much better. And it would be nice, like Peter says, to attract industry. We need the jobs here. We need the money here. We need to make Mackenzie a better place, more attractive for families, for children, for adults, for the elderly. We need to improve healthcare. We need to improve connections with our neighbors. And based upon that agreement that we have amongst our neighbors, we can find that economic prosperity through mining, through what's left of forestry, even through minerals. It's one of those things our area has a rich, huge history on. Pete Toy was mining 4 kilometers north of Finley Bay for almost a decade, just using a rocker box, pulling out 2 ounces a day for almost a decade until he died in the Amanika River in Black Canyon. And his gold is still out by his cabin, which is unfortunately underneath Wilson Lake now. But this area has a rich history, and it was fur trapping, mining, forestry, and we just need to add a new chapter to that book.
Well, some things about me, I already promote Mackenzie to thousands of people every year, and I tell them how much I love this town, and I tell them everything that is great about this town. And they're always like, well, why are there so little people or so few people there? And I said, well, because not many people want to live that far away, I said. But the things I sell about it are, there's no commute. You don't have to pay for parking. And I tell people, I'm like, how long do you commute to work? Some people are like, half an hour, an hour. If you commute half an hour a day, that's 12 days a year of your life that you're giving away. And so that's how I promote it. I'm like, I get more of my life back. I get to spend more of my life with people in the community, with my family, with my friends. And I'm not stressed about traffic noise of sirens all the time or just traffic. It's a wonderful pace. And that's how I promote Mackenzie to many medical students, doctors, nurse practitioners, and I just tell a lot of other people about Mackenzie. And so I'd like to continue to do that on council. Other things about me, I don't know if I have a timer going, but I'm a total animal lover. As I've talked about my chickens, Kevin has chickens as well. I have lots of animals, but I'd also like to see a dog park in Mackenzie. That's another thing I'd like to see.
We got 2 off-leash dog parks in Mackenzie.
Not big ones.
Mountain View Elementary Field is almost 4 acres, 5 acres.
And there's one with Dominique put one together, and it was awesome for the time, but it's kind of falling apart. And the other one's off leash, but it has no fence. So we need a fenced dog park. I could go on about that, but. Yeah, other things about me, I lost my train of thought on that one. Sorry.
Animal lover.
Pardon me?
Animal lover.
Yes, that I'm an animal lover. But I'm just generally, I think I'm very approachable too, and I think I'm very good at building relationships. And those are just some things to know about me.
I am glad I'm not all you guys, because we have some incredible people here that have so much to offer. It would be an absolute honor to see any of you guys up on council. I will cheer for you. Absolutely, unless I get in, and then we'll cheer together. Yeah. I came across a quote the other day, and I know that's so cheesy, but this quote lit a fire in my heart, and so I'm just going to read a little piece of it. And it says, I'm of the opinion that my life belongs to the community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. That speaks to me. That's how I came into this community, and that's how I am going to go out of this community. I want to see a town where we can have babies, where we can watch them grow up, where they can be teenagers and fall in love and do things safely and grow into young adults with promising careers and retire surrounded by their grandbabies. Mackenzie has the spirit of those people. We are so communal. We have such potential for amazing social capital. And the work that I would do on council is collaborate and try and make that future a possibility, working with Williston Lake Senior Society to bring that long-term care home here, working on accessibility and inclusion for all, listening to the stories, meeting you for coffee, doing those things and representing your voice on council. So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share a little bit about us.
Special thank you to our Chamber of Commerce for putting this on, and for the District of Mackenzie for allowing us to use this space. Thank you all for coming. Don't forget to vote November 16th. Advanced voting is November 6th and 15th. And if you will be out of town for those dates, there are also mail-in ballots. Talk to the District of Mackenzie for all that information. Have a fabulous night, and I'm sure we'll see you all again.
Thanks, Megan!